You know what? I'm starting to think that the Detroit Lions will not sign a free agent, a big name free agent wide receiver in the free agency period. I was going to make another video about a guy that I thought they were going to sign that they could go look at, and they possibly could. His name is Allen Robinson II with the Chicago Bears. Now, Robinson has spent he's been on two different teams. So if he does decide to leave Chicago, which he probably will, Chicago franchise tagged him this year, and he probably will leave. Allen Robinson has never really blew up. Like he was in Jacksonville. He did pretty well over there, came to Chicago, but they don't have like a stellar quarterback throwing them the ball. They went from Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, Mitchell Trubisky, Justin Fields. So that's the big name that I thought that the Lions could target, and they still could. Here's the thing about Allen Robinson. His projected, according to PFF, his projected contract is looking to be around $16, $17 million. That's more than I want to pay for a wide receiver. So I'm looking at the Lions and how they conducted last year. Now, granted, they didn't have a lot of room to work with. Very little draft picks, very little cap space, and they made the most of what they had. But I'm looking at this situation, and outside of Devontae Adams, who I literally would throw the kitchen sink in for, wouldn't sacrifice the future, like 5 years, but Devontae Adams, bro, I'm giving up some stuff to get him to come here. If that was the case, that's not going to happen. So outside of him, there's a few names that we could get, but the pay will be too much. And what the Lions look like that they're doing is they're building this thing through the draft. We'll have Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes will have more capital than they've had years past, the year that passed. Almost twice as much of everything, if not more. So I really think that the priority for the Detroit Lions will probably be to draft the number one. But I also think a quiet priority is keeping wide receiver Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds only got like $2 million with the Tennessee Titans, and we only owed him $500,000. He wants to be here. I think that probably should be priority number one. What that means as far as wide receivers who would return, we only have two. We already cut Geronimo Allison. We've got Amon-Ra, who will be going into his second year, and then Quintez Cephas, who will be going into his third. So we need that veteran presence, which is why I could have saw an Allen Robinson. But that price tag is a little bit too high for what I want to pay for a guy that's been in the league for like 8 years or something like that. I don't know if I want to pay that. So what I think that they're going to do is I think they re-sign Josh Reynolds. They bring him in. That'll be 3. I think we draft 2 wide receivers. Maybe we get one, depending on if quarterbacks are there. But maybe we get one early rounds. But the Lions can see, like when they saw Amon-Ra was still sitting there, they went to go get him. So I believe in this upper management to go get a diamond in the rough, to go get that hidden gem that they could bring to this team where they don't have to cash out in free agency. Could they possibly bring in Equanimeous St. Brown? He will be an unrestricted free agent. He could come in here as well. He would be probably not as used as much as his brother, but that's something we could look for as well. I could see them maybe a reunion, but we need that guy. I think that we're going to get that top off guy. We're going to get that guy that can blow the top off probably in the draft. A Drake London, somebody tall like Calvin. We're going to get that Calvin Johnson-esque receiver. I don't see the Lions going – I don't think they're going to go for speed as much as size. I think that's what they're going to get is maybe a Mosser instead of a burner, if that makes any sense. Going to be curious to see how the Lions handle free agency. And the reason I'm talking more about free agency more than the draft is because that's the thing that comes first. And from that point on, we'll kind of have a kind of a better idea of where the Lions are going to go. Like if they get an edge rusher, if they sign a couple of those, they probably won't go edge rusher. Picture it like this. Free agency is when you're driving through the street, you see the truck in front of you full of the little sticky asphalt, and they putting in the potholes. Like that's what free agency is. Whereas the draft is gutting the entire road, starting, putting down fresh cement, some stuff that's going to last for a while. So that's what I think the Lions are going to do. I think they're going to plug a few holes in free agency, even if it's with guys who used to be on their team. Because as I said, we only have 2 receivers under contract right now as far as big deal receivers that can make a difference next year, and that's St. Brown and Cephas. We have no veteran presence on our team as far as wide receivers. That's where Josh Reynolds can come in. Now, I'm not saying that they won't sign a free agent, but their price tags are high. They're really high. Outside of a few more guys, I don't know who they're going to bring in here. Now, like I said, there's a possibility they could bring in Allen Robinson, but his projected contract is $17 million. Maybe the Lions can bring him in for less than that. But I have a question for you guys. Who would you want in free agency, and how much would you be willing to pay that wide receiver? We're specifically talking about wide receivers in free agency. So who would you like to see come to the Lions, and what would you give them for signing? What kind of deal would you put in here? Because most of them are looking for a 3 or 4 year deal, upwards of $16 million a season. That's pretty high. We see what happened to Kenny Galladay, and he didn't score a single touchdown. So I'm thinking production, monetary value, that the Lions will probably draft that guy. And the guy that we bring in free agency would be a guy like Josh Reynolds. If we bring back Josh Reynolds and we've got Cephas, St. Brown, could we draft 2 and bring in Equinemius? I mean, he put up 500 and something yards this year. So, I mean, he's better than Geronimo Allison, and we signed that brother. So, I don't know. But leave it in the comments below. What are your thoughts on potentially a free agent wide receiver who's not on the team now or part of the team last year coming to Detroit? Let me know in the comments below. You guys are awesome. This is Detroit Lions Syndicate. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. More things to come in the offseason. And as always, go Lions.